back to another episode of my top 10, the series. I mean, really, it's our top 10, the series, but really, I feel like I've stopped asking everyone their opinions on this, so it's really just mine top 10. But again, my mom and I always have similar taste, and so I would imagine she would have similar top 10s as me. And also, I look like a woolly mammoth because it's really cold in here in my house today. I don't know, I guess I could turn the heat up, but with old houses, I feel like what's the point, because it's cold anyway. But it's pretty cold outside, but then it's supposed to get warm again later this week, and then we all wonder why we have sinus issues, and then you get confused if you have COVID or sinus issues. It's a mess here living in the north. So although I feel like it's been pretty cold in Florida recently too. So okay, anyway, so enough rambling about that. I have nothing to talk about upcoming trip-wise because we don't really have any. I mean, we have trips planned, but who knows if they're happening, so I've kind of stopped talking about them. So I think this is my episode 199, and then I have something special planned for my 200th episode, so stay tuned for next week's episode about that. So anyway, without further ado, today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 nighttime spectaculars, and so this would include parades, fireworks, any of the shows, etc. And I did include both coasts here, so Disneyland and Disney World, so sorry if you've not been to either or, but I thought it would be good to kind of mix in both of them. I also just made this list like 2 seconds ago, so I'm probably forgetting something or whatnot, so whatever. And like you'll see a theme because I feel like essentially like 3 of them, and almost 4, I almost put a 4th on there, are like the same thing 3 times in different forms. But anyway, let's get started. So I am going to save my very favorite for last, but otherwise the rest of these are in no particular order. So maybe I'll just do Disneyland first and get those out of the way, and then we'll do Disney World's ones after. So my first thing in Disneyland is World of Color. So if you've never been to Disneyland, World of Color takes place in Disney's California Adventure in this big harbor of, well, I guess it's not a harbor, this big pond-ish of water, obviously would also be in a pond, right in front of what used to be Mickey's Fun Wheel, which is now like the Pixar Pal Swing Along or whatever it's called. And it's this huge water projection. So if you ever saw Rivers of Light, it was similar but on a much bigger scale. And it's just really cool. We actually only ever got to see this once because when we went back to Disneyland in 2018, where World of Color was actually still down for refurbishment. I would imagine there's a lot to refurbish there because of how many pipes and stuff are underwater, and they have to kind of drain the water to fix it. So it seems like that was a pretty big refurb, but the music is really cool. I don't think they actually changed the show. I think they just refurbed it, and Neil Patrick Harris hosts it, and there's a lot of clips of Walt in there, which I think I've said this before, but anything that includes Walt's voice, like, to me is just so special, and it always pulls at my heartstrings. So I just really like it, and it just like really it has like pyro with it. It includes like a lot of different old Disney movie clips and new Disney movie clips and Pixar clips and some of the attraction stuff like pirates and that type of stuff. It's just a really, really cool show. So if you ever make it over to Disneyland, or Disney California Adventure rather, then definitely check that out. The other thing that happens at Disney's California Adventure, although I feel like they flip this between the 2 parks sometimes, is Paint the Night Parade. So Paint the Night Parade, I first saw in 2015 at Disneyland, and then in 2018 I saw it at Disney's California Adventure. This is the one I think I talked about doing the dining package for because there wasn't a lot of room to watch this parade, but it's a very, very modern version of the Main Street Electrical Parade. It's similar, like bright music bright lights on all of the parade floats and amazing attractions, and the music is incredible, but it's like a way more modern twist on it. Obviously, they have more technology when they made this parade. Like there's a really, really cool car section in there, and the song is I think it's like, what's the name of the band? Like Owl City or whatever. That's like, when can we do this again? Oh, oh, oh. You guys, I don't know why I just did that because I can't sing. But you know what I'm talking about. It's in Wreck-It Ralph. And so that's really cool. And I don't know, like it photographs really well. I'll probably try and put a photo of it in the intro so you would have already seen it by now. But it's just a really cool parade. And then the last is actually at Disneyland, and this is Fantasmic. Anyway, what I was saying is there's a Fantasmic at Hollywood Studios, but I do not really like that Fantasmic. But Fantasmic at Disney World, I don't know why, is like 10 times better. It takes place in all of the water I'm pretty sure I talked about this in a previous video, but it takes place in like the waters of America or whatever the heck it's called, where like the boat is the big boat, like the Liberty or the Riverbell, whatever, you guys know what I'm talking about, those big boats that they also have at the Magic Kingdom, and it's that water, and so like the show kind of goes just like a much bigger area, I would say, than it does in Hollywood Studios. The boat is really cool. They have a lot of cool projections in this one as well. I think it's just actually a more modern version of the one in Disney World. And that's because they really just redid it recently. So again, the music's really cool. Fantasmic to me has a little bit of a funky storyline. I feel like it's kind of scary for kids with like Mickey and Sorcerer Mickey and demons and dragons and whatever not. But I don't remember Disneyland having that much of a story. I don't know why I put, I shouldn't say I don't know why I put this on my list, but I can't remember it well enough to give you any specific details. But I'm just telling you, and there's this really, really cool part where like there's Steamboat Willie. Again, I'm very like, I like things because of nostalgia. I feel like a lot of people are like, the fireworks may not be that great, the projections are not that great, etc., etc. But I'm a nostalgic person, so if the music is nostalgic to me, or the use wall, or like something like Steamboat Willie, who's such obviously an old character, the original like animated feature of Mickey Mouse, it was so cool how they came out and he was in all black and white, and like the whole boat part was black and white, so that part was really cool. So now I'm gonna jump over to Disney World, and again, these are in no particular order. And I should say that these are all not things that are currently happening. Some of these are old shows and fireworks and parades, etc. So just keep that in mind. These are my top 10 like overall ones. So I guess I'll go with the stuff that's not currently running anymore. And these two are very similar, and they're very, very similar to Paint the Night as well, which is why I'm saying I have three that are about the same thing. So the first one is Spectra Magic. So Spectra Magic is like the weirdest parade. It's very similar to Main Street Electrical Parade and Paint the Night in terms of the lights, and the music is pretty loud, but it's so funky. They have like I don't know, the music is really, really good in Spectra Magic. It has like this really cool tune to it, but the parade is so weird, but to me it's like my childhood. Like I remember watching this parade and kind of getting creeped out because they're like these big balls with these like light up balls with these like characters sitting on them, and they weren't Disney characters, they were just like random characters that like lit up, and they were kind of creepy and they made creepy noises. It was like a I don't know, it's like a weird, really weird parade, but I like I said, for nostalgic reasons I really liked it. Yeah, I don't know, let me see if I can like think of something specific. I don't know if you can hear this or see this, but this is what I'm talking about. It's like these weird like rolling ball things. They were so weird. Anyway, it was a cool parade. So anyway, moving on. And in the same category, another one that is no longer is the Main Street Electrical Parade. This is by far my favorite parade. I talked about all the time. When it was leaving Disney World, I actually went to go see it for the last time. My mom and I went down for a very short trip to see this parade. We got like this dining package to see it, and it was going to be this great thing, and then it got rained out. And I was devastated. I literally wanted to see this parade so badly for the last time. It was horrible. But we were leaving the next day and we couldn't go back to see it. And then I literally convinced my mom to go down one more time, another weekend trip to go see it. I didn't tell anyone I was going because I didn't want to jinx it. We didn't do a dining package. And the first one got rained out again. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, like I'm never going to be able to say goodbye to this parade. And then like by some miracle, it stopped raining like at like 10:30. So we were able to see the 11 o'clock showing the parade. And it was amazing. Barely anyone was in the park because it was raining, so my mom and I were just sitting on a curb in Main Street just watching the Main Street Electrical Parade for the last time. I literally cried so hard seeing it. And I don't know why, I just really love this parade. It's another one that's just as nostalgic for me as Spectra Magic. It reminds me of my childhood. I love the floats. I like that they added in some floats like throughout the years, like the dwarfs, the 7 dwarfs, they like kind of added to those floats. And the America part for some reason is my favorite part, which is also my favorite part of the the electrical water pageant. And I don't know why, I just like love it. It always reminds me of Sam the Eagle, who's my favorite Muppet. Like a salute to all nations, but mostly America. And it's just like such a cool ending to the parade. Oh, I'm like getting like a little teary-eyed just thinking about it now. I just really, really love the Main Street Electrical Parade. So sad it's over. When it went back over to Disneyland, there was like a chance that my mom and I were going to be able to see it, but it ended like right before we got back over there. So I'm sure it's in storage somewhere, and I'm sure that they will bust it out at some point again. But I'm just like looking at the Spectra Magic background, and I'm just looking at all these people lined up on the streets, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like when are they ever going to do a parade again? First off, it's been forever without a parade at Disney World, and like everyone was like, oh, it'll be like a temporary thing. I should say a nighttime parade. Obviously, there's Festival of Fantasy, but like it's crazy to see that many people lined up. Like you forget like that things were crowded in. I like wonder how Disney's gonna do that, because like their biggest thing, this is a total aside, I don't know why I'm talking about this, but like their biggest thing was always like squeeze in, make room for everyone, squeeze in, squeeze in, no personal space. And now with like COVID, like even when COVID is like over or better, like I can't imagine they're gonna be able to squeeze people in as much, but neither here nor there. That has nothing to do with anything. So, oop, it's playing again. All right, moving on. So the next one on my list is I'm gonna go with Epcot Forever. This is for sure gonna get some hate. It was a very short running show. Obviously it's not running anymore because Harmonious will be coming. But I really liked this show. I think that if you're looking at it just as a show, like firework wise, like for sure it's not the best show ever. Illuminations was by far better in terms of pyro and fireworks, and I liked Illuminations, but it didn't make my list. It was definitely not my favorite fireworks spectacular. But Epcot Forever to me just like hit the nail on the head for the most part. Like using Walt's voice to me was like, oh, like it was just cool about like how they use his quotes. And I thought how they kind of mixed in like the Soarin' music with the little kids singing with Figment. I thought that was really cool. And it was a really cool play on the old school music. And then they put Tapestry of Nations in there, which I almost put on my list, but it's technically not a nighttime parade, so I didn't put that in there. But the music from Tapestry of Nations is so incredible. And I did not think I was actually that nostalgic for Epcot, because I'm not old enough to remember a lot of the original Epcot Center stuff, but apparently I remember more of it than I do, because when I heard that for the music for the first time, especially something like Tapestry of Nations, I like forgot that even existed until I heard that, and it just brought back like this rush of memories for me from being a little kid and going to Epcot. And I really liked how they did those like kite things that like blew off fireworks, and it just makes me excited to see what they're probably going to do with Harmonious. But again, probably not on a lot of people's list, but I actually really, really loved the music of the show, and I thought it was a great show, especially in the interim. I'm really sad that COVID cut this short. I only saw this one once again, kind of like World of Color. Well, at least World of Color I'll hopefully be able to see again in life, but I'm really bummed that COVID cut that short. And also we almost went to go see it in February, and we were super tired, and we were like, oh, it's no big deal, it's running till October, we'll just see it again. And obviously we haven't been back, and neither have they been running fireworks, so that's a bummer. So I'm kind of sad that it didn't really get its send off. The only thing I really didn't like about Epcot Forever was the ending. Like I really don't understand why they put a whole new world in there, but I'm not gonna focus on that too much. So that's next. My next one is the Star Wars A Galactic Spectacular. So this is the fireworks show in Hollywood Studios. This one has gone through many different iterations or generations or whatever you want to call it. They've changed this one a lot, but this show is really cool. This is like the first one I feel like that they really used projection really nicely before Happily Ever After came. The projection on the Chinese theater, especially when they took the stage down, is so cool. The fireworks are so coolly timed, and they have really cool fireworks like that are lower and higher and coolly timed. And Star Wars music is always so like boom, boom, you know, like really cool. And like they have like this whole section where you can see like fighter jets and they're shooting at each other, and it's coming through the trees as lasers, and that's really cool. So I think it's just in general, the show is really well produced, and every time I've seen it, it's been incredible. You know, every time they update stuff, I'm always like, but like every update it's gone through has been really cool. I keep saying cool. How many, like, can I not think of another adjective? Apparently not. But that's, so that one's that one. And then, like I said, the music's always really good. I'm a Star Wars fan. I know I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but I'm a big enough Star Wars fan that I totally appreciate it. But for someone like my mom who does not like Star Wars at all, she can still appreciate this show just because they just produce it so well. Like you're so immersed in the whole thing. So that's one. And then I think I only have two left. So I'm gonna put Happily Ever After next. So Happily Ever After is the current fireworks show at the Magic Kingdom. I really like this show because of the music. I thought they did a really great job choosing the songs that they chose. The fireworks are always good at Magic Kingdom. I was gonna put on, like, just side note, I was gonna put on the New Year's Eve fireworks, but I was like, no one really, like, those happen once a year. Well, technically twice a year, but, or 4 times, because they do 2 on New Year's Eve and then 2 on New Year's Eve, but neither here nor there. I was like, that probably shouldn't go on the list, but anyway, the fireworks are really cool. The projections are cool. I've not actually seen them a ton. I think I've really only actually watched the projections once or twice, like, close to the castle, because I don't really like sitting in crowds, especially obviously now, which they're not doing fireworks anyway, but I would never was one to sit around crowds. So I only remember once, I think on my 30th birthday, my mom and I like made an effort to sit close to the castle to see all the projections, and they're cool. But I'm more of a fireworks person myself, and I just don't think they are quite as tied in as the projections as that they do at Hollywood Studios. And so usually I watch Happily Ever After from like way back on Main Street, because I'm really just there to watch the fireworks and the music and hear the music, and I think they do a great job with the music. I'm obsessed with Jordan Fisher, so I'm kind of like happy that he sings in that song. I'm happy that they still do Tinkerbell. I love that they threw some Toy Story songs in there, because we love, like, You've Got a Friend of Me, and every time that comes on, it just makes me happy. So it's a great show, and I definitely watch this one at home all the time. And so I still like it, but it's not my favorite. So I should say it's not my favorite of all show favorites. So here I come, number 10, my absolute favorite show of all time that I've ever seen is Wishes. And this should be no surprise if you follow me on Instagram, or really ever, maybe, I feel like I talk about this all the time, but it is my number 1 show. I miss Wishes so much. I wish they would bring it back. I hear all the time people say, oh, they should just bring Wishes back because there's no projections, so people don't have to all crowd on Main Street. And I think that's a great idea. Why don't you just go ahead and bring Wishes back? I'm obsessed with the soundtrack. I still listen to it all the time. It's actually my alarm that wakes me up in the morning. To me, it's way more of an emotional connection. I think it's a more emotional story than Happily Ever After. I think Happily Ever After does a nice job, but to me, it's just not as, like, I'm not as, like, tied to it. Maybe I've seen Wishes so many times, like, I can't even tell you. I truly have probably seen Wishes, like, maybe 100 times. No, that can't be right. But, like, 50 at least. 50 times. I mean, when we were there, like, I would watch it every night I was at the Magic Kingdom. I would watch it if we were staying at the Contemporary every night. You know, I would watch it if we were at the Poly every night. From the Poly, like, there was one trip specifically when I was there for my boards. We were staying at the Poly, and there's this little bridge between the main building and, like, the, I think we were, like, in Tuvalu or one of those buildings over there. There's this little bridge. You can see the fireworks perfectly. You can hear the music amazingly from Ohana. And so you don't have to go to the beach where everyone else is, and no one was ever there. And I watched Wishes every single night. I would try to get back and watch Wishes every single night, and just loved it so much. I cried my eyes out so hard when I saw it for the last time. We specifically did a dessert party. I wanted to see it, like, without crowds the last time. I had said, like, I remember a few months prior that they announced that Wishes was going away. I said, it was right after they had taken something else away or changed something else. I can't remember what it was, but I was, like, saying to my mom, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die if they ever take Wishes away. And then they announced it, and I was just absolutely devastated. I don't know. It's just so good. I can't even, like, explain it. And it probably is nostalgic for me more than anything, because I know Happily Ever After is technically a better show, but I just love Wishes, the music so well. And I like when Jiminy Cricket as the narrator, like when he's like, huh, it's the blue fairy. I don't know why that part, like, gets me every time. I'm, like, honestly gonna cry if I keep talking about it, so I probably should just stop. So anyway, without further ado, that's my top 10 nighttime spectaculars, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please comment with your favorite spectacular below. And next week, I think, like I said, is my 200th episode, so there is going to be a fun little mix-up. We're going to be doing something, and by we, I mean me, a little different with one of my friends. So we're going to do a little something special. So I hope to see you guys next week. And again, comment with your favorites. Hey guys, me again. Totally forgot to talk about one of my top 10. And it is Disney's Not So Spooky Spectacular. It is the newer version of Hello Wishes during the Halloween party. I've only seen it like once or twice, but I think the music's really cool. I think they do a much better job of that than they did with Hello Wishes. and the projections are really cool. They had like the dancing skeletons and stuff on it, but I'm not going to harp on it too much because I'm editing this video and it's already too long. So I know Wishes is my number one, but technically this is going to come last because I totally forgot to talk about it. So